Hey guys, welcome on back to the channel. My name is Ronin, and it is once again time for a Sports Saturday. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend, wherever you may be in the wide world. If you this is your first time here, be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button if you are new, and also ring the bell to be updated for the latest content. Also, be sure to catch our Sucker Punch Sunday tomorrow, where we will be playing a fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th generation. And don't forget to catch our Final Fantasy VI walkthrough that we're doing. We do 2 episodes a day, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I will try and make sure I get that down as much as I can as I'm putting this stuff together. But for Sports Saturday this week, and also because we are getting ready for the turn of spring, and of course Daylight Savings Time is happening tonight. We're here in the Northern Hemisphere, at least, going to be a lot nicer going forward. I figured we get a chance to go back and play one of my favorite baseball games from the Nintendo Entertainment System, which was Bases Loaded. Bases Loaded was created in 1986-87 by a company that most people may not really know of called Jaleco. And in Japan, it was known as Moedo Pro Yaku, which translates to Burn Pro Baseball. And it came out in June 1987 in Japan. It actually came out in 1988 in North America, and really changed what people understood baseball games to be. Because at the time, for a long time, the only thing you were able to do with most sports games and most baseball games, especially the 8-bit generation, was it was much more of a top-down, really rudimentary setup. You got to see the field, and it was more like if you ever played the original RBI baseball, that was kind of the template for what you were able to do. Bases Loaded threw it on its head and really revolutionized the sort of presentation that you could get in a game like this. In a lot of ways, like I talked about last week, what Double Dribble did with basketball about a year earlier. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to play a game of Bases Loaded today. It'll be a 9-inning game. It shouldn't take too long. This is a pretty fast-paced game. And unlike modern games, there was no licensing. Again, at this time in the 8-bit generation, licensing for most games was unheard of. You didn't get that until the original Tecmo Bowl came along, I believe, if I remember right, in 87, 88, thereabouts. But you could pick, they had at least geographic teams. So, me being a Boston guy, I will take my Boston team, even though they're not the Red Sox. I'll call them the Red Sox, because why not? Which means, of course, I have to play a team from Jersey, who in this situation would be the Yankees. And I hate the Yankees. Screw the Yankees. So you get to pick your pitcher. Jersey will pick their pitcher, and then you just do a 9-inning game. And you'll see what I mean here in terms of how the presentation is different. This, when it first came out, was truly different. Now, this is, if you're not familiar, and you may not be, depending on where you're watching this from, if you've never watched a professional baseball game, and I suspect some of you may have not, because the way the field is designed, it's that big fanning diamond, having cameras up close were always a difficult thing. So what they mastered being able to do was this slightly off center field perspective, looking down at home plate, so you could see where the pitcher was, where the hitter was, and where the ball would go. Now, what you're able to do in this game is pretty easy. It's not a complicated game to learn, but like most games, it's a hard game to master. You're able to move the pitcher, as you can see, left and right on the pitcher's mound, where that white speck between his feet are. That's the rubber. You have to make sure you're touching the rubber at all times. And when you get an idea of where you want to put it, then you can go ahead and choose your pitch. Now, it all depends on where you're pushing on the control pad. And remember, with the Nintendo Entertainment System, if you had a standard control pad, you had 2 buttons, A and B, and you have the D-pad. If you press up on the D-pad, that gives you, and you hold it, that gives you a little bit more of a fastball. Whereas if you push down, or no, up is the change-up, down is the fastball, and left and right lets you throw either a slider or a curve. Now, a slider is a breaking ball that will cut, if you're a right-handed pitcher, like my guy is, it will cut in from right to left. It'll break that way because it's the way you throw it. Whereas a curveball tends to go more up and down or at a slight 45-degree angle. And then you can also have what's called a screwball. The screwball is a reverse curve, which you can throw in this game, and it's actually one of the things I found helps you out. But it's never a real guarantee. So, to give you an idea, like, I will start here and throw that pitch, and it goes down, and he tries to swing at it and misses. So that's kind of a slider or a curve. Or if you really want to be technical about it, there is a pitch in baseball called a slurve, which is a hybrid of the two. Now, one of the things that I also... See, it's this fly ball, and that will get down for a base hit. Now, the computer will control most of the fielders. You can move them as you need to, but on like infield plays, you can pick how you want to throw. And when you're doing a throw, it can be... As this ball's lofted to right, my guy will go get it. Now, in this game, I will tell you right now, getting double plays like this are real easy. Because the runners will tend to go, and it makes it pretty easy if you can catch a routine fly ball shallow enough that they won't be able to get back to the base in time. Because in baseball, you have to, on a fly ball, if you're out and you're not on the base you were originally on, say in this case first, if you move and you don't get back in time, that's a force out. In regular baseball, you never see that. So I move to the side. And he swings and misses, strike 3. So I got Paste, who you saw on the scoreboard had 60 home runs coming into today. He's basically the Babe Ruth of this game. So I didn't mean to do that, but that gives you an idea of how the bunt feature works. If you hit B, that will set you up for a bunt. A is a standard swing. And I hit a little chili dipper to short. They throw to first, and I'm out. Hitting home runs in this game is not as easy as it is in other games. In older baseball games that I played, even going back to the Intellivision and the first kind of real generation of baseball games for the Nintendo, if you got around on a pitch, it was usually pretty easy to just crush it. Bases loaded isn't like that. When you get around on one, you know. One of the things I like about this game especially is that you can choose how you swing. You can swing at different angles. Like that one, I kind of hit it like a 6-iron. But again, it all depends on how you're hitting the D-pad. If you hit down at a 45-degree angle, you can get the bat to swing at a 45-degree angle. If the pitch is coming up, you hit up, and the bat will be at an upward angle. Good slider there. I thought I had a chance at that one. I hit that one foul to stay alive. Now, you can steal bases in this game, and I'm not good at it, so I really don't try. Foul that one away. Now, pitchers do get fatigued in this game. Is that going to drop? Nope, he caught it. So I got a couple of hits, but no runs in. I do love in this game how the umpires, if you see them down in the lower left-hand corner there, are all, they're yuck, dumb, boo, and bum. That's the sort of thing that you could probably get away with in a modern game, but that it wasn't anything overly offensive, but also in kind of the tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement that the umpires in a baseball game are the most despised people on the field. I always got a kick out of that. The other somewhat innovative thing about this game is that you did have a modern strike zone. And I know it doesn't seem like it nowadays if you follow baseball. Oh, that got away from me. That's not good. That's one of those times where having the computer handle the fielder is not a good thing. But anyway, a strike zone as originally laid out is anywhere kind of between the middle of the chest and your knees. That's what has always been a traditional strike zone. And Bases Loaded has always tried to keep a pretty even keel on that. But I also like how in this game, you don't have to really throw a lot of hard pitches and wear your pitcher down. Because in the later innings, the longer you leave him out there, it is a case of they will get tired and the pitches won't go where you want them to go, and it can really mess up your game. It is also possible to plunk a hitter at the plate. And if you plunk the right one at the right time, they will come out and charge the mound. And unlike modern games, or unlike baseball now, where if you hit a batter, the pitcher is at risk of being ejected, the pitcher gets the benefit of the doubt in this game. He golfed that one. Oh, and it skipped. He didn't catch it in time. So now I have runners on the corners and a 1 out. And I could potentially give up a run here, which I'm really not wanting to do. That should be caught. Oh my God, he missed it. That thing was up there for so long that McGraw should have been able to catch that, and he dropped it. So now it's 1-0 Jersey. Great. Come back down the middle with the off-speed pitch. Oh, I almost didn't turn 2 there. So Jersey gets out of the inning with a run. So now they lead 1-0 going to the bottom of the second. The other thing that people were really surprised about with this game especially was that it was one of the first games we knew of that you got voice commands in it, or that you got a voice back when the umpires would call out or strike or ball or foul that you've been hearing so far. We used to have to provide our own commentary on this stuff. Drop it. Now, why didn't he drop it? And when you look at the scoreboard here, the numbers that are next to the players' names, those are not their actual uniform numbers. That's their positions. So starting with the pitcher is 1, catcher is 2, first base 3, second base 4, third base 5, shortstop 6, left fielder 7, center fielder 8, and right fielder 9. And that has been a kind of a coding system since time immemorial. There was a guy way back in the day named Henry Chadwick who developed what's called the box score. And that's how you keep track of, in a baseball game, who does what. And in order to better understand it, and also at the time, way back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, baseball players didn't have numbers on their uniforms. They barely had uniforms. So he saw it as a way to keep track of who did what in a fairly easy way for pretty much everybody. And once you can learn how to do that, then you can keep scoring a baseball game. So when you hear about things like a 6-4-3 double play, that actually means something. That means the ball goes to the shortstop 6, throws the second baseman 4 for the first out, goes to the first baseman 3 for the second out. And I get the strikeout of Velez. And in this game, the pitchers both hit. So essentially, they're playing by National League rules. In Major League Baseball, there are 2 sets of rules. And in the American League, you have what's called the designated hitter who hits for the pitcher. And then in the National League, the pitchers hit. And there's been a lot of contention for a long time, almost 50 years now, as to whether or not the designated hitter should be taken out or it should be made universal. And depending on who you talk to, you will get a lot of very, very vehement arguments both for and against. Me, having grown up in Boston and being a Red Sox fan, I grew up with the designated hitter, so I don't really care, especially because it let me see guys like David Ortiz, who helped Boston win their first World Series in 86 years back in 2004. So, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm also fine with the National League not having the designated hitter. You know, I don't see any reason why it needs to be changed that much, but that's just me. That's going to the gap. Now, I should be able to get some extra bases here. Come on. Except I couldn't go any farther. To advance the runners, as I remember it right, you just hit B and then you go in the direction that you want to go. I wasn't able to do that there, which is annoying. And now they're going to check the runner at first. They want to make sure he doesn't steal, even though I'm not going to. Again, I'm not good at it. That's the thing. I spent so much time learning how to hit well with it on this game that... Okay. Down 0-2. See what he throws me. That'll drop. Alright, now I can move everybody, and now it's second and third. The one thing you have to worry about in this game also is that the outfielders have cannons for arms. You think you'd be able to get to a base in time. There's no guarantee. I mean, they all throw like Ichiro rockets. It's crazy. Is he going to be safe? No, see, like I said, I thought he was going to get there in time and I get the tying run. So I have runners on the corners and one out. But my number 3 hitter, who's usually one of my best power hitters, is coming up. Get over it, get over it. All right, we're going to have a tie ball game. It was always interesting as a kid because when this game came out and we bought it, it was like, okay, we're going to have a lot of fun playing this. But also, ooh, hot shot down the line. So we have sacks packed and one out. God, I hope I hit this out. The home run graphics on this was great. Instead, we're going to do a double play. No, everybody's safe. Run scores, we're in, we're up 2-1. But anyways, I was saying, when this game came out and we bought it, it was one where, from then on, whenever we learned that Jaleco was coming out with a new sports game, we were all over that. And they did another game, which, ironically enough, for what it is, you would think it wasn't that fun. That's one, but they're not going to turn 2, so sacks packed and 2 down. And still 2-1. But they did a game that came out the following year called Racket Attack, which is a tennis game. And if you would think, okay, how is that even remotely interesting? And yet somehow they made it interesting. The kineticness of it was such, oh wow, this thing's going to keep rolling. Can I get him home in time? A triple. A bases clearing triple. And it's 5-1. And now they're going to pull the pitcher. So Velez is done. That was another neat feature of this that you didn't have in the original baseball games for the NES. You could pull in relief pitchers. You have pinch hitters. But we've had 8 men come to the plate so far. Well, actually, this is the number 9 hitter. I should say. That's a well-struck ball, but I think it'll be caught. It is. Yeah, my brother and I, we played Racket Attack to death. Because it's of the same graphical style, and it was really fun. Unfortunately, Jaleco, kind of after the Nintendo system, didn't last very long. They came out with more games for the Super NES, and they did some for the even up through the PlayStation era. But they folded, I believe it was in 2013. Their parent company basically cashed it in, and that was it. Ooh, that's a well-hit ball going to left. Gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta get it. Seeing that he didn't move is surprising. Oh, and that was paste. I got lucky. Paste is something he can very easily do. But Jaleco, when it first was created, was really a company that did a ton of games for arcades in Japan that one, have never heard of, and two, nobody ever saw. Oh, that thing is crushed. Okay, you get to see the home run graphic. Wow, he torched that. And you see the pitcher watch it go, turn around in disgust. And there's Bay behind him. Very happy. As he's gotten Jersey back into this. It's 5-3 in the fourth. We always used to think when you get the high five like that, he just walks by and slaps him when they turn his head like that. But yeah, that was another trick to this game, was that eventually the batters would start getting smart enough, and it wasn't like you had anything AI-wise. Oh, am I going to get him? Am I going to get him? Out! Like I said, outfielders are cannons for arms. But it always seemed like the batters would inevitably pick up on what you're trying to do. Like, I can keep throwing this slider all day, but they're going to go down and get it. Oh, man, is that gone? That's gone! Whoo! Now it's 5-4. So 2 home runs in the inning. And now I got to think about whether or not I'm going to pull my pitcher. But if you go to the well with that pitch too many times, the computer will inevitably start finding a way to hit it. And even now, that's not something that you see in sports games that often. Which was what really made this ahead of its time, and it's a shame that it didn't sell more than it did. It was Bases Loaded was a huge game when it was released. But one of the issues that delayed it was, I guess they had a defective chip in the original manufacturing of it, which is why it took so long to get to the United States. There's another interesting quirk in that if you watch the catcher's mitt is completely separated from the actual catcher sprite. Because it's essentially the catcher and the umpire are one person. Saw that one off. Oh, and we're going shopping at the Gap. Can I get it? Can I get it? I'm not going to get it to him in time. Well, they ended up doing Bases Loaded 2, Bases Loaded 3 for the NES. Bases Loaded 4... Bases Loaded 4 was an NES game too, my bad. Then you had Super Bases Loaded for the SNES in 91. And then they did Super Bases Loaded 2 in 94, Super Bases Loaded 3 in 95, and then they did Bases Loaded 96 in the PlayStation and Sega Saturn in 95, and that was the end of the series. And a Phantom. So one of the tricks about this game was, in something I didn't realize, is each team has its own specific trait. Oh man, I just went way under that. So in my case, Boston has really good pitching, although it wasn't on display at last innings. He gave up 2 home runs. As he dropped that one, okay. Well, that kind of evens it out. While Jersey has the most ferocious hitting. So my hitters aren't great, but my pitchers are apparently some of the best in the league. Both teams have 9 hits. Am I going to get there in time? No. So quick 1-2-3 inning. And that was something that you could get quite often, was that you would have... You can get 1-2-3 innings like that. And again, there's no real secret to being able to hit home runs and whatnot. It's purely a matter of getting the right pitch at the right time and just drilling it out of the park. Like, potentially so. That is gone, and we are tied at 5. Yeah, looking at Jaleco's list of games that they did for arcades, they started in 1982. And they did a wide range of stuff. They did, like, top-down fighting games. They did sports games, obviously. They did detective stories. They did outer space stories. They did all sorts of games that they were putting out all the way through, like, 2000. Alright, I need to get him out of here. I think... we'll take my chances. The numbers that are next to the players are their ERA, which gives you an idea of how good they are. I'll go with Guido. And again, I have absolutely no control over the names of the players. They're programmed in. So, I mean, some people might be offended by the fact that there's a black-haired guy named Guido who is pitching. I'm not saying that this is a game that didn't necessarily do well nowadays, but for the time, it was, we need names for players, and they threw everything in. See, for example, the umpires. Oh, and I hit him. I didn't mean... Oh, and we get the charging on the mound. So now you get the fight, and that means Paste is going to get ejected. I didn't actually mean to hit him. But he'll take the base, and now Paste is out for the rest of the game, which means we don't have to deal with somebody who can belt 60 home runs. But Bay hit the 2-run shot out in the last inning. So we're not out of the woods by any stretch, especially since the go-ahead run is now on first with 1 out. But Jaleco went on to do a couple of games for PCs. They did a lot of stuff with the MSX, which is a system that nobody really in the US had any exposure to. It was released in Europe and obviously was big in Japan and the Pacific Rim, but I never knew anybody who had an MSX. And if you had an MSX system and you lived in the US, by all means, drop me a comment and let me know. Because the only game that I know of for that system that I was ever interested in playing was Metal Gear 2. Which I was actually able to play when I got the special edition of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater for the PS2. The reason I got it was because it came out with the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. So we get a new first baseman in Yeller. And our first baseman leads off in the bottom of the 5th. I thought he was going to try and go up and in, but he gets the strike. I swung the wrong way on it. But you see, the guys aren't throwing 100 miles an hour. You know, you're throwing 75, 80, 85 miles an hour if you're lucky. Oh, and I swung and whiffed. But to give you an idea of other games that they came out with for the NES, Jaleco did a game called City Connection, which was kind of a fighting game. They did Bases Loaded. They did a couple of... they did Choplifter, which was based on the Atari game of the same name. They also helped develop Wizards and Warriors, which was eventually released by Rare. I guess Jaleco... Rare designed it, and then when it came out in Japan, Jaleco handled the distribution rights for Japan. Uh-oh. This might be a double play. I gotta get back, gotta get back, gotta get back. Ooh, just got back. In '88, they did a basketball game, too, called Hoops, which I never played, because, again, I was a double dribble guy. And I thought Konami did at least basketball a little bit better than most other ones. But you also had games like Totally Rad, A Boy and His Blob, Wampum. They even got a license to do the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles in '92, and that was kind of at the end of their run. And I keep fouling these balls off. I got to get one out in the infield a bit. There we go. Well, I'll be caught. Or not. Dropped it right in the middle of the triangle. And that happens in baseball. It's surprising what you see in this game that you will actually pick up on. And that's what they call a dying quail. When you hit a ball, you pop it up in the air, and it just happens to fall in between at least 2 or 3 batters. So they form, or 3 fielders. So they form a triangle around it, but none of them can get to it. Alright, stop going to second, jerk. I'm not going to run. Anytime now, guys. I'm not going to steal. I could have swung further in on that pitch. Ah. This guy's location is really good. And I swung and missed strike 3 and missed a chance to break the tie. Yeah, but by the time the Super NES came along in the early 90s, Jaleco really wasn't interested in coming out with more console games. They were focusing more on doing arcade games. But like I said, they did a soccer game for the Super NES called Goal. They did the Super Bases Loaded. They did Pro Sports Hockey. And then you also got games like they did King Arthur's World. They did one called Brawl Brothers, Tough Enough. They also helped distribute R-Type 3, which was a racing game. But by the time you got to the GameCube, that was it. They did a bunch of games for the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. But nothing really of major note. They did their own version of Tetris, but I mean, let's be honest. The version you played for Tetris for the original Game Boy was Rare's version of Tetris. It was Nintendo's Tetris, which to this day is still a game I play often, and I still love it. And it's still challenging. That's the thing. So it looks like they're going to clear out the entire dugout of every pinch hitter they can get. But we used to think that you could have pitchers that could go 9 innings in this game, and you really can't. And most hitters, amazingly enough, they just can't get that slider. I don't know why. It was always that... It was that part of the game that... It wasn't a glitch. It was just something I discovered at an early age of... Mainly because I was playing an older brother who, one, liked to cheat because he was a jerk. And two, was able to understand the controllers better than I could. And could manipulate it as such where he could hit just about anything. So I had to figure out a way to throw a pitch that he was not going to get. And that's what happens when you're a younger sibling playing games. You just, out of self-preservation, if you want to keep playing, you gotta find a way to beat them. Back to the top of the order. Rips that one opposite way, and that's going to go all the way to the wall. I should make it to second. Good. So the go-ahead run is on second with 2 out. Now bring up McGraw, my number 2 hitter, center fielder. And that should be the end of the inning. So I gave it a run. But we're through 6 and it's still 5-5. Now you can do extra innings in this game, and I hope we don't because we've already run quite a bit long. But again, this is Saturday, so the usual rules don't always apply. Like we do in our Final Fantasy VI walkthrough, although we've had some episodes that run long as of late. But we got so into this game that we would... There were times where we would actually keep score ourselves and track who did what, how many times they came up, how many times they got hits, all that stuff. Everything you would normally see in a baseball box score. Because my brother was that much of a sports freak. And to an extent, I was too. I mean, it was a chance for me to learn about the sports that he was into, and then I got to be a fan of them, and I developed my own interest. To the point where when I got out of school, it was for a long time, for most of the last 15 years, I was working in sports media. So you don't do that if you don't like it enough to really get involved, especially considering how absolutely cutthroat it is. Oh, that thing's going to keep rolling. We could get inside the park home run here. Or not. We're going to get the triple. Well, the triple will be enough. And errors do happen in this game as well. When you're playing 2-player, errors are really common, because when you're throwing it at a particular player, it is not hard to get them to run out of the way. So, okay, so the tie is broken. Now that's an RBI double. Was that Frida or Norcus? That was Norcus. So that was my cleanup hitter, my third baseman. Oh, don't start throwing it back to second. I'm not going to steal. I was totally off on that one. Not there. And now I'll get down and go for another base hit. And that's going to keep going, and another one's going to score. And it'll be another triple. Nope. See, and there's the error. So it'll be a triple with an error, so it's not inside the park home run, but that gives us 3 more, and it's 8-5. And they're not going to yank Guido yet. Or Guido's my pitcher, rather. No, 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 no. Am I going to get there? Ah, I didn't mean to do that. I took off thinking it got by him. Well, that's okay. It's 1 out. Ooh, I swung right over the top of it. Not that time. Alright, brings on my catcher, Tyler. I'm wondering if it might be better off to bring in a pinch hitter for the pitcher. And that'll get down. This might bring another run home here. And it will. RBI triple. So make it 9-5. I wasn't expecting to bust out of it this much. And now the paste is gone. That kind of limits what Jersey can do as far as having power hitters in the middle of the lineup. And nope, they didn't turn 2. So they get the lead runner. So it's a runner on first, 2 out. And this should end the inning. No! He didn't touch the bag. And that's where having the umpires there to tell you if you're safe or out is helpful. Because if the throw pulls him off the bag, you don't know until the umpire tells you or you hear the music cue. So, alright, it's 9-5, going to the 8th. And if we can hold the lead, basically we've only got to get through the next inning and then into the 9th, and we should be fine. Good time to throw a good changeup. Changeup, if you don't know, is essentially a slow ball. It comes off your hand looking like a fastball. But because it's going usually about 10 to 15 miles an hour slower, the batter doesn't know. By the time he gets there, he swings early. And by the time he does, it's too late. See, I tried a screwball there, and that didn't work as well. Oh, I thought that I got the corner with that. .91 on the gun, and he misses for strike 3. I mean, the pitchers can throw. I don't think there was anybody in this game who could throw like 100 miles an hour, but it was always enough that it all depended on the location of the pitch more than the actual speed. And if you changed it up enough... then it just made you hard to hit. See, like you throw the changeup after the fastball, batter doesn't know what's coming. He strikes out 2 out of 3, and we go to the bottom of the 8th. I would like to get 1 home run in this game, at least. Well, I ain't gonna do it. And there was always a theory that if you had a controller that had a turbo button on it, it would increase your chances of hitting a home run, and it never helped. I mean, you could sit there and just do this all day long, and it didn't matter. And I totally hosed myself with that by doing that. And that's down the line. That's a fair ball. And we'll go all the way to the corner. So a one-out double for Norcus. He's definitely my MVP today. And that'll get down for a base hit. Texas Leaguer just over the head of the infield. That'll be caught. Uh-oh. Ah, double play. Okay, well, we go to the ninth. And it's the bottom of the order for Jersey. So what I need to do is I need to bring in my closer. Who should I bring in for my closer? I'll bring in Paige. So I just need to get 3 outs, and this ball game will be over. And we're going with the southpaw. Come back with a changeup. Oh, and he ripped that one all the way to the wall. Can I get it there in time? Sorry for the lag. Alright, I need a double. Well, a double play ball would be great, but it's not a double play situation here. And that's a screwball. When you start on the outside and it comes back like that, that's what's called a screwball. It's a reverse curve. And that's a real pitch. There was a guy back in the 30s, his name was Carl Hubble. He was great at it. The problem is your arm isn't designed to throw it. Because your hand, the way you throw it, the palm of your hand has to go counterclockwise as opposed to when you're throwing a regular pitch and it goes clockwise. And Hubble threw so many of those pitches over the course of his career, and he was really good at it. But his arm became deformed. Alright, so we need one more out. And it's the pitcher Weston. My guess is they're going to bring in a pinch hitter. They're not. They may not have any left. And the pitcher gets a base hit and brings home a run. Alright, so it's 9-6. I'm hoping they don't tie this up. I really don't. Oh, that got down. Crap. All right. Need 2 more and we're done. That's a good time for that change. Didn't bite. Ball game. And this was a game, because you didn't have a whole lot of save options back in the day, you still needed to utilize things like passwords in order to keep your season going. So it behooved you to make sure you could always keep these in a smart place, so that way you didn't lose them and you had them written down right. So if you ended up trying to play like a full season on it, you didn't completely hamstring yourself by not knowing where you put your passwords, or if your brother was a jerk and threw them away or something. But that is bases loaded for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So thanks for sticking around for the Retrocade for this Sports Saturday. As always, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and ring the bell to be notified of the latest content. Don't miss out on Sucker Punch Sunday tomorrow, where we will play a classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And be sure to catch our Final Fantasy VI walkthrough, which is ongoing. We've had 25 episodes on as of Monday, so we're carrying on as best we can. I'm not sure how many more we're going to have in it, but it's a first-time playthrough for me, and I'm going to see it all the way through to the end, so I hope you stick along and join the ride. And if there's a game you would like to see us play from the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, SNK, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or follow us on Twitter at @RetroCade. As always, I'm Ronin. It's been a lot of fun. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everybody, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.